Yo, today was a very eventful day for people on stages that when Glitch joined showcasing Falcon, we saw basically some insane stuff. Some insane trades were called out. I'm pretty sure the short from high of day ran over 3,000%, which is just insane. So I'm going to show today and pretty much the trades I took for today and why I took them with same strategy and everything. So off of the morning, we didn't really have much. Or let me move this over here. We didn't really have much setups. SPX was kind of a whipsaw map, I would say. There wasn't really much to read. I like putting my Trinity on these percents because we could see the king node and you could also just hover over the value and you could see what really matters. Now, when I use the dim feature, at least for me, like sometimes I feel like it might blur out stuff for me and could be or it could be disadvantaged for me because sometimes P25 nodes show. I mean, it's all personal preference. I like using the percents with just everything on and just seeing what's actually important and then seeing on Atlas the orbs they're actually showing. So I see in the morning, okay, this node up here, king nodes are pointed up. Now what's interesting are these two SPX downside targets. There's pretty much air pockets all the way down to 7,300 and 7,290 throughout the day. And these maps are kind of all over the place. So I was hands off morning. I did take a lot of shorts like literally right in the morning, like right here. I took a lot of shorts and that was just me holding throughout the day just because of this SPX downside target. So like I said, lotto size, it was basically me just targeting these nodes. And as I go through the day, we didn't really have much, I would say, until around 10 a.m. So around 10 a.m., we had these dark pools. I'm pretty sure we caught like a small bounce. Still nothing aligned to catch a trade on or to look out for a trade here. So once we come up, we got this tested as small 693 or 673 and still these dark pools. But once again, we just look on Atlas, we see that there's not really there's not much yet. There's a lot of air pockets. There's stuff all over the place. So kind of just skipping throughout the day. Still waiting because we still need to see confirmation with Atlas to show that our trades are valid. Now, if I were to show on NQ, we came up, we tested VWAP, and we were rejecting slightly around the 50%. We also rejected the London low. So I did take a short here with small conviction and mostly with order flow my strategy and not without Atlas or Skylit. So I took this from the London low back down for the break of the IB down to previous day low. And it was mainly because we had VWAP, we were right next to the golden zone, and we had this London low that we were using as resistance. Now, coming back here to Atlas, still nothing on the maps. There was a decent long I took, which was the same trade that me and Jack were talking about, which was, I believe, at 1040. So if I skip, we're still looking at the maps. I did notice the 685 QQQ node growing in the morning, which is very interesting. Because normally these nodes could also just be hedge nodes, but the rate of change matters a lot. Because if these nodes are changing in value within a longer period of time, that doesn't really mean it's a hedge node. It means there's significance behind it and something's still happening. When the nodes are just stale, nothing's happening, they're not really that important. So come over to the first long I took at 740. We have the 733 SPY node, and we also had this QQQ 667. Now, like I said, these percents matter a lot. So once I saw we were kind of getting a small overshoot of the 667, and this was basically getting flipped as resistance. Now, SPY, we were coming into a Pika stack range. This 734 had like a small reverse rug back up to the upside, while SPX still had nothing. So I was playing off of this small positive on QQQ and this small or this kind of major Pika stack here on SPY. So this was the first long I took over on NQ. And we could actually see that once we got closer to that 666 node here, that we ended up growing. So see how it was at 21%, 34%, it grew. Then we got, basically it was kind of like a peekaboo where we got a bounce off of that. Now, something I want to put a note is I took this up now, showing the NQ chart. This was the long down here. So I took the long if I were to chart it like this. Typically, I like to keep a stop 20 points or stop at the low. I took this back up. I was targeting the IB low, but I ended up getting stopped at the Asia low. And why did I get stopped at the Asia low? So once we got to the Asian low, QQQ668 has a strong king node. This is ultimately going to gatekeep upside if we can get past it. And this is what we were commenting about on stages. If QQQ can't get above the 668, this SPY air pockets won't play to 740 or this QQQ won't play to 670. So as we see, QQQ finds resistance here. And there's only one confluence here that could tell you to short at the Asia low. So if you did play shorts off of that QQQ node, you'd be probably targeting, like, to be honest, I don't even know what you'd be targeting because there's not really much lows or liquidity areas I'd be looking for. So you'd be playing off of the maps. So if you shorted a 668, you only had one node confluence. Ideally, you want to see at least 2 out of 3. So it wasn't really a short I would recommend, but this QQQ node is what ended up holding us down on that one push down. Now, when we got the run up here, we ran back up to this QQQ 670 node, and if I'm not mistaken, I believe it was a good short back down. Or wait, we didn't even get to it. I ended up getting off earlier in the day, so I don't remember the exact full day because I ended up having to go out to the city. Alright, well, this 669 ended up peekabooing. And if I go back that percent, you can see the percent change. So 669, keep an eye on that 669 node that peekabooed. Or let me go back. 16% grew to 21, 25, then 669, 43. That's some strong growth. That's why we call it a peekaboo, because it's a node that comes in strong really fast and could gatekeep upside. So we had that. Then I think we kind of just chopped here throughout the day. So I was more hands off. I didn't take much trades. The main trades I took were towards the end of the day. Now the SPY 734 over here, it's 97%. 734 here ends up becoming the king node. So I'm pretty sure we continued lower from here. This node ended up holding its resistance, and the 731 ended up coming in play. Now, SPX still has this downside target, still no nodes in play. QQQ kind of no nodes until 663 down here. So there's still nothing. Maps are kind of still disaligned, not really supporting much thesis. So we're not really going to look for any trades until we see at least 2 nodes playing out. So keep skipping. Now we get to 1210 here. And I'm pretty sure this QQQ 663 node ends up getting tapped. Alright, so 663 didn't fully get tapped, but that was kind of our range here on QQQ. 663 is our floor, and then 668 is our ceiling. So we played that range. We did catch a bounce, missed it by 30 cents. Remember, these nodes aren't going to touch directly. This is still like a dollar range in between. So QQQ caught this bounce. SPX still nothing on these maps. And SPY had this 732, which was still a strong positive, just in the positive gamma regime here on SPY. So I'm pretty sure this was basically the longs all the way back up. And then we ran throughout the day, and then I'm going to skip to 115 because I actually want to see how did these nodes look at 115. Alright, so we overshot QQQ's king node, or my bad, not king node, but strong Barney. SPY has nothing, SPX still nothing. So still just those dark pools holding. Then it's QQQ. Now at 130. There's still not much confluence of lines on these maps. So when there's not a lot of confluence, you ideally want to stay hands down. You want to see much conviction because if you're going to put money on a trade, you're going to want to see a lot of confirmation on it. Now, this was the FOMC candle. I took some QQQ lotto calls, full lotto just because of this 670 node. So I took calls here, and this ended up just spiking up. I caught a nice run up on this, and I exited. And something I want to point out, this was a short I took. So this was like my first good trade of the day. Reasoning I took this short, this QQQ King node is 675, and now this SPY 739 strong positive. If we come over to the charts, remember charts first, then heat seeker. 618, fib golden zone level, discount area. So when I short this, my stop is going to be above these wicks, ideally. 20 points, remember? You would have gotten edged. And my TP was going to be like next level, so midnight level. Now, this ran to my full TP and ended up smacking. So that was like my 1 to 7 R trade for the day. I did take other setups, but there wasn't much conviction on it, so I'm not gonna showcase something because I want you guys to learn like the best possible setups. And the more and more you trade, the more you're gonna see, okay, maybe I could play off of one nodes with maybe more conviction without the heat seeker with nodes and targets growing. So I took that short. We ended up holding below these levels. We also got a retest of the 618, which was a perfect retest right here on this third candle. If you see the wick literally right at the 618 level. So this was a nice short that ran down, I believe, 150 points on NQ. That midnight level, next structural level I have as a target, ends up aligning, I believe, with this SPY downside target and also around here. So I'm pretty sure this was my exit just because on NQ I had the next level was the midnight level, which is my target. Now, we ended up seeing that these upside targets here on SPY start growing. 742, 675. These are growing pretty strong. So continue on later. This was 230. A bunch of us took like lotto calls just because Falcon was in calls from these floors down here, but this was like a lotto size calls, and we pretty much ran up all the way to previous day high. So if I skip to 255 on the maps, this was the short of the century. So this was the short Falcon called out, and if we see the thesis behind it, Falcon saw, or what I'm believing, this 680 strong negative, this 743, this dark pool, king node on SPX is 7450. So we had all these levels, and if I show you guys over on NQ, what structure did I align with? NQ previous high a day. So the previous high a day from the yesterday session lined with NQ. So when I shorted this, I put more size into it because I had more conviction on the shorts. So I put 3 minis, which is pretty high risk, or just a big size, I would say. And like my stop was just at the highs again. So when I entered this trade, it was around this candle here. And my target was like, I got trailed out. So first my target, I didn't even have a defined target on NQ over here. My target was going to be off of the next node or next area where we could see it bounce, just because we kind of on QQQ we have air pockets down to 680 now, and SPY we have this 640 or 741. SPX has nothing, air pockets down. So once that short fires from Falcon, we got a retest, flushed, and I believe this was my exit. I'm not even gonna lie, like I thought we would catch a small bounce here, because 675 and this node down here with these dark pools, they could act as support. So I'm going to exit my position. I already made a good amount of money on it. I'm going to take my profit and leave. Could have definitely left the runners with like 1 mini size, but I didn't. And if we look throughout the day, remember that SPX 7300 node? I want you to keep an eye on this. We see that 685 up here, if I go back, see how when we tap that node, or not when we tap that node, but when we tap 680, which is a gatekeeper to 685, look at that downside growth at 675 and 685 fading off. We learn in Academy that we want to see nodes from upside decreasing while downside's growing. So we ended up just flushing more and more. Literally just kept going from that entry. And downside's still growing. Look at that 7300 node. 7300 till you keep an eye on it here. 31%, 51%, 80%, 96, king node. 50% on the 7290. Grew a lot. Downside is growing an extreme amount. Now, you already want to be in shorts, and you would want to be watching what's happening here. So 733, 668, we could see a bounce. This could be an area where price bounces and like a next support area. So 733 and 668 here on SPY. QQQ is at the king node, and SPY is at the 735 positive. So we could see a small bounce, but we do get like a dollar bounce, and then literally just kept flushing because it is downside risk on SPX dragging price down. Now 635, we're just blowing through every positive. Now, like I said, 731 and 668. QQQ is already at 668, while SPX or SPY is not even at 731. So QQQ might catch like a small bounce here, but then we have a reverse rug, or not even a reverse rug, just a rug set up to the downside on Qs. SPY is now coming to the 731. 733 with this Barney has a rug to the downside, with 731 being the last line of support. QQQ has air pockets down to 663 now. Now, 733 ends up becoming resistance. They put in the 731 king node floor. If we don't basically catch a bounce here or catch a bid, it's game over. We run the 7300. So what do we see? We catch a small bounce for $1. Now, what happens? We run up to 732 and flush down from there. That is gatekeeping upside. We test back SPY's ceiling. We know when ceilings roll down, that means we're bearish. Kept rolling down. QQQ 663 rolled down when price got below it. Remember, this was the range we were playing from 663 where we had air pockets down. Now, what's next? 660, or if we don't catch a small bounce here with a small overshoot, it's game over to the 7300. So I can't play the aftermarket hours because or I don't have my, or ETH, it doesn't show that 7300 was hit here on SPY. But if I come over to Asgard, 7300 target acquired right there, got hit, and we knew about this node since the beginning. This trade probably ran like an insane like 3000%, which is insane to even think about. Literally could have made like a whole house on that trade or something. I'm pretty mad that I got stopped out. But the alignment that I liked and I saw with NQ that supported the thesis on that trade was the 618 short. There was structure behind it. And in the previous day high sweep and shorting it back down. And we kept running and running. We then got below the IB, the 30-minute IB high. We kept running. We got below the London low. Didn't get a bounce. Then we got below the midnight level. And also something before you notice, when I took that QQQ lotto, it was at the midnight level too. So we caught the bounce, and then I took the lotto calls back up. Midnight level still holding resistance, got below VWAP, couldn't hold above, and just kept running and running and running. And here's NQ now. So pretty insane day. And if anyone like normal has any questions, do let me know. Let me know if there's anything you guys want me to improve on with how I explain everything, and let me know if I'm doing a good job or whatever I could work on. Thank you guys and appreciate it.